Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the December edition of Dr. Jaspersoft's office hours. My name is Mike Belkowitz. Thank you for joining. Those of you that are returning, thanks for returning. We really do appreciate your support of our Dr. Jaspersoft series. I'm really excited as usual for today's session. We've got a performance engineer from our engineering team, Swarup Das, who's going to be presenting on performance monitoring of JasperReports Server. Before we get started there, we'll just lay down the typical ground rules for those of you watching this live. The Q&A section, if you have questions, we always take questions. We will take them at the end. Please use that button at the bottom of your Zoom screen there for the Q&A. If you want to ask any questions, I will be monitoring that throughout the session. If I can answer them currently, at the time that they come in, I will. But we will address all questions at the end as time permits. Also, most of you have seen already, I think, that I've got a poll in there that, as usual, to gather your opinions about future sessions for Dr. Jaspersoft in our series here. So please feel free to fill out the poll when you think of it, and it is multiple choice, so you can choose as many topics as you want. I will say choosing all of the topics maybe doesn't help us so much, so maybe try to choose your highest priority ones if you don't mind. So again, Mike Belkowitz is my name. I'm really glad to have everyone with us here in December. It's been a crazy year, but hopefully we're going to go out with a bang here on one of our more commonly requested topics on performance monitoring in Jaspersoft. And I'm going to, let me just share my screen here real quick. So you can see here, we've got Swarup Das who's going to be joining us here in just a moment. And to talk about performance monitoring, again, one more time, if you have any questions, ask us in the Q&A section of the Zoom webinar. So without further delay, Swarup, welcome. Come on in.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. That was a really nice introduction you gave. So good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone joining with us around the globe for today's Dr. Jaspersoft session. So as Mike has already mentioned, we'll talk about performance monitoring and analyzing performance characteristics of TIBCO Jasper repository server. So I'm gonna stop my video and start with the sharing. So hope you can see my screen, Mike. Can you just?
We're good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So this is how we have planned our webinar today. At first, we'll have a look at a commercial tool which just specializes in the JVM monitoring and profiling space. And after that, we'll go through an innovative solution which I'm most excited to talk about. Just dropping a hint to keep the excitement bar high till we get there, which you might have already guessed by the name, will showcase how we have used our own JRS to unravel a major challenge in the space of performance monitoring and analysis. So without further ado, let's start. So introduction, the need of performance monitoring. In today's world, the need of performance monitoring doesn't require much introduction. We simply need a well-performing application to cater to our business needs. And to achieve optimum or desired performance of an application, one needs to monitor its performance. TIBCO JasperReports Server. Now for TIBCO JasperReports, aka TIB-JRS, most of us might be already using various tools to monitor and analyze the performance characteristics. JRS usually lies within a larger interdependent set of software components. When analyzing performance problems, we will need to look at different layers in the software stack so that we can pinpoint the piece of the puzzle that's responsible for the slowdown. Components. A typical JRS installation would comprise of a web and application server, database, and repositories. We often use different tools to measure the performance of different layers in the stack. As you are aware that in the heart of such a JRS setup lies the Java virtual machine, which is undoubtedly a crucial entity that requires performance measurement. Now let's have a look at one such tool which basically specializes in such measurement. JProfiler. JProfiler is a professional tool And it's a licensed tool, and which is specialized for analyzing what is going on inside a running JVM. Now, this tool can be used by development teams or by quality assurance. Let's discuss key use cases for this tool. Local or remote. To monitor JVM statistics, JProfiler is required to be attached to the running JVM. For that, first, we need to enable JMX monitoring for our application. We have put link at the resources slide on how to enable JMX and Jasper reports. Once we establish that, then no matter where our JProfiler is running, either local or remote, we can attach it to that running JVM. Next is live telemetry or offline. JProfiler can be used either to get live telemetry data or for offline viewing purpose. A whole set of VM telemetries is available, such as memory, CPU, recorded objects, classes, GC activity, threads, and so on and so forth. Now for offline use, one can either utilize its profiling API or use various triggers to gather metric data based on events. CPU profiling. JProfiler is a powerful tool to get in-depth details of various JVM resources. Now first, let's have a look at the CPU details. Method calls can be measured and visualized in different ways. The analysis of method calls helps you to understand what your application is doing and find ways to improve its performance. Memory profiling. Analyzing objects on the heap with respect to their allocations, reference chains, and garbage collection falls into the category of memory profiling. This functionality enables you to fix memory leaks, use less memory in general, and allocate fewer temporary objects. Next is threads and locks. Along with CPU and memory, JProfiler provides insight into threads and their various locking situations. When multiple threads cooperate, deadlocks can occur, and JProfiler can visualize them for you. Also, locks can be contended, meaning that threads have to wait before they can acquire them. This sort of debugging can be done using this tool. Database profiling. For some technologies, a more high-level approach is required that extracts semantic data from the running application and displays it in the JProfiler. The most prominent example for this kind of profiling calls to the database with JDBC. The call tree shows when you use the JDBC API and how long those calls actually take. Snapshot comparison. Comparing the runtime characteristics of your current application against a previous version is a common quality assurance technique for preventing performance regressions. It can also be helpful for solving performance problems within the scope of a single profiling session, where you may want to compare your two different use cases and find out why one is slower than the other. Last but not the least is the ease of use. Although there are a lot of information is available from JProfiler, one can get used to accessing and deep diving using this tool very quickly. Also, if you are interested in getting more information about a technology that is not directly supported by JProfiler, you can write your own probe. Along with the UI solution, one can also make use of the command line interface of this tool for automation purpose. Now let's have a quick demo of this JProfiler tool. Let me quickly stop the sharing and turn the new sharing on. So this is a hope you can see my screen with the
looks
snapshot.
Good. Looks good, Swarth.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. So first, I'll quickly show you how to attach the JProfiler with to the running JVM. You need to click on Quick Attach. So basically, in the background, we have a snapshot which we took already, which we come back to sooner. This is basically a snapshot of memory issue that we were debugging. But first, I want to show you like how you can quickly utilize this tool to attach it to any running JVM. Now let's open this in a new window. So if your JVM is running in the same server, it would automatically be coming in this window. If it's not, then you need to just click on this on another computer. It can use SSH tunnel, or there are direct network connection also available. We will SSH into this Linux instance where we have our JRS server running. So once you click on open, it will obviously ask for the password. Once you provide it, so you can see it is automatically able to select that particular JVM that is running in the server. We just need to click on open. Now in the next screen here, JProfiler provides us two different options. One is instrumentation, one is sampling. So obviously the instrumentation method is a lot heavier method and it provides a little bit of overhead in our application. So in our normal general monitoring purpose, we could simply go with the sampling. But if at all we need to have some in-depth profiling, then obviously the instrumentation is preferred. Now, as you can see, as soon as we connect our JProfiler to this instance, it is able to track down different telemetry data. So in this screen, this is overview screen. You're able to see different telemetries of different metrics, memory, GC activity, classes, threads, CPU load, all in one screen. You can individually, go to individual screen and have further detailed look. As we have talked about different offerings and different solutions, as you can see, this heap worker is very crucial for the heap memory usage tracking. CPU views obviously goes by the name. These are the threads, monitors, logs, database, JE, and probes. So let's have a quick look on this heap worker. So once you go over here, it provides you with this option to take the heap snapshot. Once you click on this, it instantaneously takes a heap dump for yourself, which you can later save it and compare it and do your analysis. Apart from this, you can mark that heap for that particular time using this button and then take a snapshot. What it does is that once you mark that heap, it takes a snapshot of that particular moment, and then when you actually take a snapshot of using this button, then you have that option to compare previous and the first and second snapshots. So that's how before and after comparison is available for you, and that's how you can actually use it to compare two different snapshots in one single session. Otherwise, you can just directly save different snapshots using this tool and have a comparison later. So this is just for heap checking. We can obviously talk about this CPU and other threads maybe, but we can let's cover that in some other session. For now, we'll like to show you one snapshot that we have already gathered. So this was a memory issue that we were actually debugging. So here, as you can see, this basically lists like the largest size classes. One more, I would like to show you this particular button. This basically shows the biggest objects. So here, as you can see, it has automatically categorized different method level and datas, which basically are responsible. So this is basically, as you can see, this particular object is very much taking us around 77% of heap at that particular amount of time. So, and this is very, you can go further and get further method level instruction. For which class level details this is actually responsible for, you can get that information for over here. Apart from this, what you can do, you can also select any of this and click on this show in graph. Apart from this, let's go ahead further. So here, as you can see, it basically showcases incoming to outgoing references, and you can actually correlate this in your application and understand the tracing mechanism from this. So that's all that I thought of showcasing you on the JProfiler. Obviously, this is a tool which offers you a lot of solutions, and it has always under our scope to deep dive this as and when it's needed based on the case to case. Now let's go ahead with the second part of our section, which I'm most excited to talk about, that I have talked to you before. So this is like how we have integrated CloudWatch metrics data into our TIBCO JasperReports Server. So hope you can see my presentation again. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. So first point is obviously data. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of what and how, let's venture into why. Among other problems, a key hurdle a performance engineer face is data consolidation and analysis. Performance folks are almost always involved in monitoring, gathering, and analyzing numerous resource metrics of multiple software components. Few examples of key monitoring metrics are CPU, memory, disk, network details, etc. Most of the time, getting the best performance of an application requires a performance engineer who scrapes through multiple tools and data of different formats. Key challenge in such debugging cases often boils down to one main problem. How do we correlate events? Can we visualize or identify the resource usage for a specific period of time? Now here comes the power of TIBCO JasperReports Server. As part of performance engineering team for JRS, we also faced similar challenges that we just talked about. But we were able to resolve those problems with the bright idea to utilize the power of JRS for our own solution. We utilize JRS views, dashboards, reports to generate meaningful visualization, time series charts, etc., to analyze the monitoring data that we have captured already. Now let's have a look at one such use case of how to integrate AWS CloudWatch metrics in our JRS server. I'll talk about a brief about what is AWS CloudWatch. Now, most of us are already aware of AWS CloudWatch. CloudWatch is a monitoring and management service that provides data and actionable insights for all AWS managed computes. For a specific compute, AWS provides a wholesome list of monitoring data. Few of them are free and few are paid. Now let's check this case and how to make use of CloudWatch metrics using our JRS. Let's look at the flow. The first and foremost task is to identify resource metrics. Depending upon the type of compute or service you are using, example, EC2, RDS, load balancers, etc., one need to identify the key resources which are crucial for monitoring. Few such key metrics we have named here as CPU, memory, disk, etc. Once we have identified required metrics, the next task is to configure and enable the CloudWatch agent. Amazon has very well documentation in the website about how to do so. We have also provided a similar link in our resources section down below. Now, once we have configured and enabled our CloudWatch agent, the next stage is to gather and process those metrics. Now, CloudWatch itself provides graphs and dashboards in its UI, but to get that each and every time, one need to get in their site. Also, as we need the resource statistics to correlate with other test metrics and want the data to be available for future purpose, it's always better to take the usage statistics out of the CloudWatch for internal processing. So what we have done for our case is like we have used AWS get metric service command to pull out the data. AWS provides the data in JSON format. And then what we have used, we have written a simple Python script, which basically goes through each and every those file where we have written down the metric data, and it prepares one consolidated sheet of raw data. Now, once we have that raw data handy with us, the next job is very simple. We just need to import the data into TIBCO JasperReports Server and analyze them based on our case-to-case basis. Based on preferences, one can use reports or views or dashboards separately or in combination, which indeed becomes a great choice for performance analysis. Now, let me showcase how we have achieved this CloudWatch integration with TIBCO JRS. So basically, we have talked about this thing. Now, let me give you a quick demo about this as well. How do we do this? Before I do this, I just want to show you one of the sample file. So this is a sample TIBCO CloudWatch metrics data that we have pulled out from the system. So as you can see that most of the this format stays same, this timestamp and unit you get, and depending upon the type of data, which data you are getting, you can either get average value or you can get the max or mean or so on and so forth. But this is a pretty same format that you'll get for each and every JSON file. And once you check at the bottom, you'll get the label to understand which metric is this. So this is like CPU usage, active CPU usage. So this is just one sample for your reference. And I would like to show you the consolidated file, the raw file that we generated using from the Python script. So this is how it looks. So basically, it has we have designed the data based on our need. We have gathered this and we have formatted it in a way. Obviously, the first row is the heading row, and we have used the pipe delimiter. This is a big CSV that we are using. So once we have this data ready, next job is to just log into the JasperReports Server and show you how we import this. Okay, let me quickly log in. So for this, one more thing we need to do. I have already, for the demonstration purpose, created this for you, obviously. But yes, here we are using text data source. So for that, this is basically a beta version currently. So for that, we basically, once you open, turn on Jaspersoft report server, you won't be, having that option enabled. To enable that, you need to go into the web-inf in the Tomcat installation folder, and there you'll be able to find this file, application context under remote services. So once you open that file, you need to search using hide. So, and once you go inside that file, there would be one line, this text data source. So initially it will be enabled, but you need to disable this. You need to comment this out basically. So once you comment this out, it becomes, it goes into non-hide mode. Then you just simply need to restart your JS server, and that's it. This option, this text data of option would be available for you as a resource. So once you enable that, I'll show you what you need to do. That is a simple thing. Once you enable that, you just need to create basically one data source. This is a text data source that you have seen. One thing, important thing that you need to make a note of is like to keep the date pattern as same as the one that you have having in your file. So you have seen the timestamp that we have in our file. This should match exactly as with our data pattern. And we have provided the file delimiter that we provided, and the file path and name, and that's it. We just need to, once you save this, your data domain text data resource is ready, data source. Then you need to create one text data domain. So this is basically as plain vanilla creation of text domain, which most of us are familiar with. Once you are done with text data file source and domain creation, then you can just go ahead creating views. So for our demonstration purpose, I have created this CPU view. Maybe we can have a look at that first, and I'll show you how do you change this. So here, as you can see, we have put different filters and different matrices. So here we are interested about the CPU metrics, and as you can see, GRS1 and GRS2. So we are having a cluster environment where two GRS nodes are available. As you can see, we have this MySQL, Postgres, JMS instances as well, but we are not interested on those as well right now. So we will try to showcase like this how they have the CPU behavior of those two servers based on the time. That time series details you can see at the bottom section. Now you can obviously very quickly go ahead and change this metric to some, let's say change this metric to something else. Let's say select this memory active. You just need to select that and apply them. So once you apply them, that's on the GRS takes care of everything. So the data is there. GRS is able to plot that data very nicely only after just by selection of that filter. You just need to rename it. And save it. So at the point of saving, you can save it as a view, or along with that, you can save it as a view and report. So for our demonstration purpose, I have already created two different views. And once you are done with creating those views or reports, you can incorporate them into a dashboard for your better viewing purpose. For our purpose, I have also already created this demo dashboard, which I have put two different things, this memory and CPU all together. As you can see over here, we can pretty nicely check how these two metrics have behaved with time. Now, if you want to correlate, let's say you want to correlate with these two metrics with another metric that is like how much amount of active connections we were seeing at that point of time in our elastic load balancers. So let's have a look at that as well. Again, like I have created that view as well, so that it will be helpful for you. This dash. Let's go ahead to check the dashboard view too. So here, as you can see, with the time or the CPU and memory, let me slightly zoom it down so that it fits. Yeah, so here you can actually see with the amount of active connections how JRS1 and JRS2 servers memory and CPU resources has changed with the time. Now, if you want to edit this view, you can obviously go into this editing section and play around based on your need. So what we have done over here is like we have for this memory and CPU, we have prepared, we have kept these two. These two filters are same. Component wise, you can filter, and obviously the active connection falls under some other metrics, so we haven't put that same over here. But for the demonstration purpose, let me show you what exactly happens. So once you go into the viewing section, we have this filter ready. Now, as we have seen JRS1 and JRS2, now if we just want to have a check at what is exactly happening only in JRS2, and just select that and put on apply. So as you can see, these two graphs got filtered out. Only JRS2 is available over here. Now I can see at that point of time what is exactly happening with the load balancer active connection. So this is just one instance that I'm showing you for the correlation purpose. Using this tool, JRS solutions, you can utilize this as much as you can imagine. Not just imagine for your analysis purpose. Maybe you want to correlate at one particular amount of time what is exactly happening with the CPU memory along with the disks. Maybe you can also might be interested in having an eye on the network bandwidth. So what is exactly happening network in and network out? So all this sort of correlation you can obviously perform using your own TIBCO JasperReports Server, JasperReports Server on itself as well. So this is like how we have utilized our own tool for our own benefits. So that's kind of pretty much it, like what we wanted to showcase you. Thanks for listening and viewing this. Now I'll just open this floor for Q&A maybe. And over to you, Mike.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Swarab, very much. Yeah, if you have questions, feel free to throw it in the Q&A section there while I talk here for a moment. Just want to remind those of you, especially those of you that joined late, that we do have a poll open. If you want to talk about or fill that out real quick, just choose a topic or topics of interest for future sessions. That would be great. Swarab, can you stop sharing? I'm going to start sharing my screen. Actually, I guess I have control to do that.
Yeah, sure.
And I do want to make a plug before we get to any questions for next month's session. So those of you that want to drop off, feel free, but debugging Jaspersoft source code is going to be the next topic. It was pretty high in the polls the last few months. So that will be January 14th in the new year. Surprising that 2020 is already almost over. So again, we're every second Thursday of every month is when we aim to do these sessions. So that's going to be our next session. Let's see, do we have any questions? I'm not seeing any questions at all. One thing that I want to point out is that the two things that Swarab described or demoed today, JProfiler and CloudWatch, aren't necessarily free tools. JProfiler does cost. CloudWatch has some free components available to you if you're an AWS customer. There are similar tools. I mean, there's countless tools to do this same kind of analysis and performance monitoring. A free one that we use commonly in the field when clients don't have a tool and they don't want to pay for one is called Visual VM. We are including a link to that in the resources section of of this deck here. And also, I'm going to send out a on the chat window. Those of you that don't know, there's a wiki page on the Jaspersoft community site where I will update it as soon as we get this published to YouTube. This session will be up on YouTube. I'll put the link there. And this deck, Swarab's deck, will actually be posted there as well in PDF format. So if you missed something or you want to go back and see any of the things he talked about, that will be available there for you, including the resources slide, which has links that we referenced throughout today's session. So with that said, I am not seeing any questions and nobody going once, going twice. Any other questions? I guess that's it. Let's see, let me just show you the, oh yes, this is the resources slide that I was talking about. So this will be on that deck posted on the wiki page that that I sent the link out to there, including links to the tools that we talked about today, and the some internal wiki article that talks a little bit about how to capture some of that middle tier performance data. That's really helpful. If you have questions after this session, or if you're watching this on YouTube, we are always available. You can email me directly at drjaspersoft@tipco.com. That is here, drjaspersoft@tipco.com. So feel free to reach out. I love hearing from people, even if it's just feedback about the sessions or something about the format or anything like that. Always willing to take input like that. And I guess if there's nothing else, thank you very much, Swarup, for your time and the presentation. And
Yeah, Mike. So maybe
yeah,
just I like to highlight one thing. So the
sure.
main idea, I mean, I should have said this before. The main idea for showcasing the CloudWatch with the JRF integration is like to showcase like not just CloudWatch. If we have the data from any tools, let's say any command line tools or any way possible, if we have the raw data, we can use our own TIBCO JRS Jaspersoft server for our solutions. I mean, to prepare and to analyze performance metrics as well. So this is like,
Yeah.
not limited to CloudWatch. We can utilize for any tool out there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Swarup. And one thing I noticed when you were showing that ad hoc view is you could have added the filter for the metric type to the dashboard as well, and then there's a way to dynamically change the title based on the metric value as well. So if you wanted right there in your dashboard, you could change and show the different metric types as well, which is pretty cool. The only problem is it's not tied directly into that data live feed. So, it's more of a kind of you're downloading that data and publishing it, but it's really great for snapshot things. If you say, oh, I got to find out what happened yesterday, yesterday at 8 a.m., the server crashed and I got to figure out what happened. So you could always go and get those metrics right and pump it into the system like Swarup showed today. So that's a very good point. Very good point. So, all right. Anything else, Swarup?
No, I think we're good.
That it? All right. Well, thank you guys so much, everyone. I know it is December, so happy holidays to everyone. However you celebrate, enjoy the end of the year. Let's hope for a better 2021, and we will see you all again January 14th, right back here. So thank you all very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.